remain until the second set of play-ins for Clash of Clans, and a few clans have been plugging away to ensure that they remain in that top 9. But something that we've been touching on as well has been the meta. You know, we got the pets involved as well. A lot of people are favoring the unicorn right now with the queen, but also the actual strategic meta right now, which is actually, we saw air at the very beginning of the Town Hall 14 update, a lot of air attacks, but actually we're kind of starting to look into favoring the P.E.K.K.A smash right now, Lethal. So things are definitely up in the air, but why don't you take us in to that all-important leaderboard, because the top 9 are looking very spicy.
Oh, they certainly are indeed. I'm looking forward to this to see who exactly is in the top 8 so far. Relentless Gaming and Silent Snipers have been doing a very good job. You remember Silent Snipers from the last play-ins lost at the final hurdle and looking to try and get him back. They could straight up qualify in first place. It's still a possibility, but still a little bit behind in terms of that elo. And Affiliate Esports, good to see their name cropping up again, still in that top 3 spot. And even Burger Rangers, they had a good start to begin with and just dropping down. But one thing we need to talk about as well is Cream Esports. They are actually currently 8-1, and again, like Banks always says, quality over quantity, and it's definitely looking that way. Very interested to see how Cream Esports has done this week, and of course over the course of next week as well.
Yeah, Cream Esports are the only clan in the top 8 that have played less than 10 wars. So, I mean, if they rack up those numbers and they keep getting those wins, they're looking at being top 4, you know, because they're actually got an amazing record right now, like you've already mentioned, with only 1 loss. But Relentless Gaming holding on to that top spot. And their record right now is 29-9, 38 wars played. They played 14 wars this week. Now, that's something that we've touched on quite a lot, you know, is that if you're sit at the top of the table, why don't you just wait it out and see what the rest of the ladder does? And if it alters a little bit too much and it's not to your liking, then you can start playing more wars. But no, they've thrown that rule book out of the window and they've gone, let's just keep playing, keep dominating, and ensure that we remain in that top spot and get that automatic qualifier for the challenge finals in Clash of Clans, Lethal.
Certainly do indeed. I'm looking forward to the 9th to 16th position as well, because there's a few teams in there which also need to talk about in terms of how they progressed, and Penta only up by 1 single point. They know that they can't just sit back and rely on that top 9 spot. They're going to have to play a few more games coming into this, because look at the other teams as well. The Time Failed Gaming, another team which we know quite well here, and Strike Back as well. A Bad Singer are just right behind them. They need to play a few and need to be very consistent, because it'd be a shame if we don't see Penta in another set of plays.
Yeah, I mean, Time Failed Gaming are actually doing really well. I mean, up to a point, and then suddenly in their last 3 matches, or their last 3 wars, in fact, they've lost 2 out of 3. So it just chips away the points. If you go up against someone who is quite high in the ladder, you can lose so many points. I mean, we're seeing it from other ladders as well, you know, 36 points sometimes from 1 war. That's just absolutely outrageous. But yes, Achievers are doing quite well as well. One Hive, a huge clan that you would expect to see in the top 8, sitting at 16th right now, so hopefully they'll be able to switch things around. But I mean, the first war that we're going to go into is actually something that we've talked about already. Silent Snipers, who are doing so well, being extremely consistent, but also Inquisition, who are an extremely consistent clan from ladder 1. And we got Wolf Shares, who's going to be coming in first for Silent Snipers with a Dragon Army. Now, something that we've talked about as well, the air game right now. In Town Hall 14, air was a huge deal. I mean, that was the meta. But now we're starting to see a lot more ground attacks going on as people are adapting. We've got the Lightning coming in and the Quakes to try and take out that Eagle right in the center of the base, because that can be a nuisance against a Dragon Army if you don't get that taken down early days. And now we're going to push in using some of the heroes from the bottom of the base, Lethal.
Yeah, you're right though, Banks. It was a real air-heavy meta to begin with, and it sometimes is now and again, depending on the layouts and how you actually have to scout the base at the start. But still, when is this initial push going to come in, as the world champion is going to be trying to take out that mortar as well as the air defense in that 6 o'clock position. But you can see on the right side as well, the King has come out to play, just taking out some of the outside structures. You can see with the Archer Tower as well, the Inferno Tower just doing a little bit of damage, just to keep him at bay once the King is destroying that gold storage. But also, if he takes out the air defense and the Inferno Tower on that 3 o'clock position, that would be absolutely huge.
I mean, using the Royal Champ with the invisibility spells as well to take out as many defensive structures in the bottom of the base, especially that scatter shot, is going to make sure that the dragons path perfectly around the top side of your base in a little bit of an L shape as we sweep across, and then the very end will be the Town Hall. So hopefully he gets to get that Town Hall down, potentially using a blimp with some sneaky goblins inside just to make sure he gets the Town Hall. That's all he's looking for with the blimp. He's not looking for extra damage. He's just looking to get the Town Hall down. So he's going to time the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome as the blimp paths over. But the Grand Warden with the dragons as well, looking pretty solid. He's going to time that Eternal Tome so that it doesn't go down, and so that he can get this blimp into the Town Hall compartment and just make sure that he gets that second star. But the dragons are still looking pretty buffed up. Multi-target Inferno isn't something you got to worry about too much with the dragon army. It's just something, you know, like the air defense or the scatter shot or a single Inferno. Those things can be a real nuisance for dragon armies.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you turn on the dragons in terms of their hit points as well. The healing spells were positioned very, very well. The mortars and the expo were doing so much damage, and even then they positioned it correctly how it should be as well, not too far back. And it needs to be a pretty good job so far. Just a little bit of structure here and there left. You know, you can see a couple of cannons, a few mines, but apart from that though, this has been a very, very solid but a very good attack here coming up from Wolfshires. You know, Silent Snipers have a very, very strong team, definitely after the last play-ins, looking for revenge to try and get back into the challenges if they can. But just the last few bits of structures here and there to test there, some of the mines and the mortars on the outside. But still has 30 seconds, plenty of time to try and make this work.
Yeah, got so much of the splash damage down nice and early. The only thing he really had to worry about regarding the dragons was just seeking air mines and black bombs and things like that. That's all he really had to worry about. But the Grand Warden is still full health. He's got the owl still. It's surprising to see the pets still up at the back end of the attack, because the pets don't take a huge amount of damage, but they can dish it out. But great to see that it's still up and running, and we've got a beautiful triple to kick off the war between Silent Snipers and Inquisition. It's great to see the air attacks still being used, so we're still having a lot of versatility from each and every one of our attackers. But we're gonna see quite a heavy favor of the ground attacks, especially with the P.E.K.K.A.s, and I think it's just because they dish out so much damage. If you manage to get the right spell placement, you know, with the jump spells and the rage spells, that is what you're looking for. Because with the dragon armies, you've got to just ensure that you get a certain amount of the base wiped out so that they don't path away from each other, and then you get a great amount of tanking from the dragons as they go around. But we're in with I Am Green from Inquisition right now, and he comes in with a Yeti blimp, so drops down the rage so that the Yetis can get down the Eagle and that most of that compartment. Having to deal with a fair amount of CC troops from the Ice Golems. We're seeing the Ice Golems being favored quite a lot in the CC because they slow things down and they're quite tanky. So basically pushing for that time fail. But the Queen is going to drag out these Ice Golems so that she can take them out using a poison spell, and that should be absolutely fine so that he can progress with the second phase of his attack lethal.
Yeah, the Ice Golem's just delaying things further. Your personal favourite, Banks, I know it is, don't lie to me. As now we're going to have the Unicorn, and the Cup of Heat is still continuing on to contribute to the Queen. The Expo will get taken down eventually, but first going to take down some of the structures on that 6 o'clock position. As the Arch Tower does get taken down, so will the Tesla, and so will the Mortar as well. So using that free spell just to delay the DPS ever so slightly, and just trying to find out if there's any other traps laying about her, using that one moon to just push it on forward, but not too much here.
I mean, here comes the P.E.K.K.A. Smash coming through the central compartment of the base, using a super wall breaker to break into that middle section, and he's going to use another jump so we can gain access to all 4 of the other sections in the center of the base, especially that tunnel. There goes that jump spell right in the middle there, and these P.E.K.K.A.s are still nice and healthy. The Warden pushing in with the Queen as well, and the Super Wizards in tow. He's going to have to use that Eternal Tome soon. Uses a freeze instead on the Town Hall's Giga Bomb just to make sure that he can keep going. There goes the Eternal Tome. They can stay up, and the P.E.K.K.A.s can stay nice and buffed up. This is the problem that we find with P.E.K.K.A. Smash as well. The problem is, if the P.E.K.K.A.s go down, you have absolutely nothing pushing through the entirety of the base, and then it can just fall flat on its face, this kind of attack. So you've got to time the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome to perfection to make sure they stay up through the more difficult defensive structures, Lethal.
That's right, the champion is now just going around the outskirts of the map, just pushing up to that 12 o'clock position. Take out some of the structures as well. Still got a little bit of help to work with here as he's taking on the Archer Towers, and maybe because the Wizard Tower as well. Still that Inferno Tower in the middle. The Queen is going to try and stay alive as long as she can. Still a little bit of time to work with 23 seconds. Does finally get cleaned up. The World Champion still just pushing on forwards quite cleanly here. Still 15 seconds though. Would he be able to get the 3 stars 100% as I'm looking up in the 12 o'clock position? Should be able to take up the rest of the structures there. Should be okay. It's kind of quite close, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. And there we have it. Just the last bit left to be done, and the World Champion finishes it off alongside the rest of the unit. So good stuff there from I Am Green. It was a little bit of a struggle to begin with, but and also very close. Probably a few more seconds and he wouldn't have got that 3 stars. So great way to start things off for them as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of triples, and it's really promising work to see that they can use all these different varieties of attacks. But nice to see the Royal Champion being the one to clean up at the end, because the Queen, a lot of people, you know, they Oh, I was going to say they reply. They depend. There we go. They depend on the Queen because her DPS is just so vast that she can just take down so many structures at the end, and her speed is on her side as well. But great to see the Royal Champion being used at the end there. And we're going to jump into the final attack from Silent Snipers. We've got Rakirez coming in with a Blizzard Lalo, something that we're seeing quite a lot of. We've got Super Wizards inside the blimp. He's going to drop an invisibility spell. He's going to drop a rage spell as well and get down as much of the center as we can see. Look at the amount of value he's going to get from the Super Wizard. He's going to get the Queen down, the Scatter. Is he going to get the Town Hall down? Potentially. He's looking to get down that Eagle on the left-hand side as well before he comes in with the Lalo, because the Eagle can be such a nuisance when it comes to the loons for the Lalo. They're lethal.
Yeah, Requires is going to be very happy about that. We'll see it's going to be quite air heavy. It's just a matter of time and where he's going to position it first, as there is a lot of air defense still in the center, still at least a few there to be careful with and a little bit cautious. The Baby Dragon still on that right side, just taking out some of the structures just to give him a little bit of a helping hand for this next attack, just leaving a little bit of leadway, which is perfectly understandable, and it's already getting enough value from that as well. So Lava Pups just being a real pain in the backside in that 6 o'clock position for the Queen. Won't affect him anyway, it's just to delay things just a tad as we get prepared for this huge attack coming up next.
I mean, it's perfect deployment of the Blizzard at the beginning to draw out the CC troops, you know, the Ice Golem and the Lava Hound, and then he can drop the Queen at the bottom of the base to make sure that the CC walks all the way over so she can just get rid of them so that they're not a nuisance for the rest of the attack. Here comes the hero dive from the left-hand side to try and get out as many of these splash damage troops as they can, or splash damage defenses, I should say. Royal Champion on the multi-target Inferno, pushing over to the cannon, still yet to use the Royal Champion's ability. The Sinking Shield has been used, sorry, and then we come in with the Queen in the middle. Now look how much of the base has already been taken out, and he hasn't even started the Lalo. Here is the Lalo with the Grand Warden and the Owl coming in from this top right-hand side to try and get down this air defense first before the loons come in and just clean everything up, Lethal.
Yeah, that was a real worry, considering, like you said before, how much structure's already been taken out as he's pushing on through. There should be quite a nice attack here. He's going to continue on forward with the 3 spells, going to delay the DPS as much as he can. You never know, Cannons and Expo doing a fair amount. It's not going to be enough to tackle any of this. Here's the one that's still looking to push on forward with the Inferno Towers. Will get taken down momentarily, which it will do. And still so far using some of those balloons to go around that left side on the 9 o'clock position to take out the cannon, the Archer Tower and anything else, just to give it a little bit of leadway, but still looking very good. 15 seconds left to continue on to take out some of the storages and the mines and the drill on that north side, but should be okay here. 10 seconds left, should be able to clean up after enough time. So there we have it, as the last storage will get finished off by literally a quarter of a second, cutting it very close, but in the end, a lot of patience, it paid off, and the attack was just even better.
Huge GGs there to Silent Snipers for managing to secure those amazing triples. And I mean, once again, we've got so much content to bring to you. Inquisition are so great as well. Silent Snipers have played absolutely out of their skin for the last 2 ladders, so it was always great to cast over their attacks, because they're just doing so great in this Town Hall 14 update. And we're going to be dropping into Nolex versus Zepto for our next war. Now we're going to be kicking things off with Bezez with a Lalo from Nolex, and it's gonna just basically be a pretty spicy attack. I'm not gonna lie, because we've got a bowler, we've got 2 headhunters to potentially take out one of the enemy heroes as well, and we're gonna kick things off from the top side of the base, going towards this multi-target Inferno. Gonna use a few coconut loons to try and soak up any potential traps, tornadoes or seeking air mines, anything like that, just to kind of soak everything up. And then we're gonna start with the King and the Queen from the top left here, Lethal.
Yeah, I don't think he was able to reveal any traps there, so he's going to find out in the 9 o'clock position if there is anything. Still finds nothing, so he's going to be a tad bit worried here. That's more time wasted, as the Queen and the King, like you said, has actually pushed in, as well as the Royal Champion. The Baby Jack can just find around on that 9 o'clock position, using another balloon to see if he can find anything, but takes out the mortar in the process. Still doesn't find any of these traps here back. It's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, using this as a hero dive. So this is a hero dive. Basically, you just use all your heroes to push in from one particular side and take out as much of the base as you physically can before you use, you know, your siege machine, which would be, in this case, a blimp right now. But I think he might change it over if he wants to get a little bit more damage, because it doesn't seem that the heroes have really taken out enough of the base, or as much of the base that he would have liked before he wants to start the Lalo portion, because he needs to get down as many of the air defenses as possible, but also any of the defenses that have splash damage. We're talking Wizard Towers, scatter shots, you know, and obviously, you know, air defenses being the obvious. There we go. He switched it over to a stone slammer because he needs to ensure that he gets enough damage out from his siege barracks siege machine that he uses to push through. So look, stone slammer being extremely useful right now in taking down some of the enemy's defenses. Taking down the archer tower right now. He's probably going to go over to the scatter shot, and he's going to have to use the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome to keep them up as much as possible, because we're going into quite a tough spot here, because he's going to activate the Town Hall's Giga Inferno, and that could fry some of the balloons.
Oh, there we go. The free spell does come in, so it's looking beautiful here so far for the team of Nolex. That queen was taken down earlier, not because of the unicorn. We won't have healing potions or how many healers to actually push with it, but another free spell does come in to delay the DPS further. Still though, the balloons are actually very well spread out here as he can continue on with this push. Still looking pretty good. Needs to try and take out the air defense if he can. There's no other defensive structure in the way, so he should be able to take this out with ease. Not a problem in the slightest, with the wizard tower going to follow through as well. So looking very, very good here for Bez, and see what he can do. He's going to continue on pushing on in that 12 o'clock position. And you can see so far 14 seconds left. Should be able to clean up the rest of the structures here with the storages and the mines, but very good stuff from the team of Nolex. It looked a little bit bleak at first because he's still trying to find the traps, couldn't really bring up anything to decide exactly where he should push from. Had to waste a couple more units than he would like, but it was worth it in the long run. Cut it close, but he managed to succeed with those 3 stars.
It can be quite dicey using a hero dive at the very beginning, because then you don't have the tanking ability from the heroes at the back end of your attacks. You're entirely relying, I mean, in this case, you're entirely relying on all of the loons with the Grand Wardens to try and push through the whole of the base, and using haste spells as well. But can the reply from Sasha be up to scratch? Because he's coming in with a P.E.K.K.A. smash, like we've talked about before, going straight into this left side compartment to try and take out as much as he can using the Yetis. And he's going to start with the Queen on the left-hand side to try and do a little bit of cleanup before she pushes on through the base. But like we said before, P.E.K.K.A. smash, it's all about placement. It's all about where you can put the jump spells, where you can put the super wall breakers to ensure that you get into the correct compartments of the base with the P.E.K.K.A.s, because otherwise they get stuck on the walls. And unfortunately, P.E.K.K.A.s are pretty slow. So here you go. He's opened up the compartment at the top left-hand side, 10 o'clock on your screen, and managing to push in with the bowlers as well, keeping them nice and topped up using the Grand Warden's Aura Lethal.
Yeah, he was absolutely spot on with the meta in terms of P.E.K.K.A. smash coming into play now, and again, not just a heavy air meta like we've seen at the very start of Town Hall 14, and the push will be coming in as the sweeper's going to back up the healers ever so slightly. It's not going to make too much difference here with the lava pop still doing a little bit of damage, but still look at that 12 o'clock position in the Town Hall, still being able to use that free spell anyway. A lot of units were cleaned up on that north side, but still got a fair amount of defense left. Still the Expo, the Wizard Tower, the Edifice still on that 2 o'clock position, but still push up into the middle with the Eagle Artillery. You'll see how much damage it can actually do. Not a huge amount, not the target it would like, but still a fair amount of damage has been done.
Pushing through the center of the base, and this is what we've been talking about with the P.E.K.K.A. smash can start falling flat. If you're losing P.E.K.K.A.s, you lose momentum. He still doesn't really have any spells in his back pocket left either. He's got the freeze, he uses the freeze, he's still got the Royal Champion's ability, but everything is starting to slow down to a snail's pace. He's lost the P.E.K.K.A.s. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has. There's a lot going on in the center of the base right now, and I'm trying to figure it out. But the Queen has popped her ability. She is trying to push through this center compartment and use this jump spell to get around the remainder of the base. But it's just dying as everything is going so slowly. Still got some of the healers left, which is great news for some of the heroes. But does he have enough left to take out the remainder of this base in the time?
Oh, that was ridiculous. The Eagle Artillery has done so much work for the majority of this game. Almost took out the Queen, and lucky for the Queen, just managed to stay alive. Really have enough time though. That's the next big question. Inferno Tower still doing this huge amount. Still, the Expo's now going to try and get involved if possible. The World Champion has been taken down. Still, literally the cannon, the Expo, the Archer Tower as well. Still got the Air Fence and Wizard Tower on the top side as well. It's looking pretty bleak. Not sure if he'll actually get the 3 stars. I don't think he has enough DPS, or actually, let's be honest, the Queen is pretty much stuck there. Has to go through 2 sets of walls, and it's not looking too good here. So I don't think it's going to be a 3-star game for the side of Satchit on Zepso.
Yeah, really unfortunate situation, given that jump spell allowed her to get into that small compartment, and then she needed to fight her way out of the compartment because the jump spell had dissipated. So now she's stuck. She's going to have to take out this cannon and then this right side army camp, and then she's just not going to be able to get through. 5 seconds left on the clock, and we're looking at 96. Can she get to 97? 97 for Zepto with Sasha. That is just so unfortunate. The time fail, you hate to see it, but it's always going to happen at least once or twice, and you've got to just brush it off, go on to your next war, score and just not even think about it. Don't let it get to you. And there's plenty of time left to get into that top 8 for the next round of play-ins for Clash of Clans. So don't forget, if you want to do it, you can sign up, !sign up in the chat, and you can be facing off against some of these incredible clans that you have witnessed in the ESL Mobile Open weekly recap from me and Lethal. Now, Lethal, I've got to touch on this. Is there anything that particularly impressed you from the highlights this week?
Oh, do you know what? There's so many to select. I think one of the games from PUBG as well, in terms of the clip where on that high ground and that one player was still behind the rock, I'm going to say commiserations to him. It's the fact that when you had that such a massive disadvantage and still did everything, you could still take out one of the players. He was still going for that 1v3. It was so close, but yet so far. And also Lucas as well, how good his late game is recently in Clash Royale with some of the decks he's been using. And T-Drink is still without a loss. And are they going to continue, you know, this absolute path of destruction? We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely one of the top clans to keep an eye on. Tribe Gaming, aka T-Drinkers in Brawl Stars, and KC in particular from this week, dealing out so much damage and being the absolute aggressor for Tribe Gaming and managing to secure all of those wins. I mean, definitely played a huge part in that. But week 3 of Ladder 2 is now complete, and it feels like the end is almost in sight because the challenge finals are creeping up faster than you would think. So get those reps in and make sure you and your team secure enough points to make sure that you get through into the play-ins and then through to those challenge finals. Now, thank you so much to my co-host Lethal for all of your hard work, and thank you so much to the production at ESL for all the hard work you guys are doing as well. My name is Banks, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you all for watching the ESL Mobile Open. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also don't forget to follow us on social media at ESL Mobile.